Sorry, I couldn't get through. Happens all the time out here. That'll put yourself right soon.
It's my own fault. I should have brought my mobile with me.
Yes, perhaps you should. I'll try again later.
Who exactly were you ringing? Not the police?
No. Why should I ring them?
To report an accident.
Waste of time. It's Halloween. They'll be busy sorting out unruly teenagers. No, I was trying to ring a good friend of mine. He owns a garage. He'll bring his truck and pull your bike out for you. No good us trying, that ditch is far too deep.
This friend of yours, when will he come?
Oh, straight away. When I get through to him.
I mean, it must be getting on for midnight.
Nah, don't matter. He'll come any time. I told you he's a good friend.
Where's his garage?
Oh, just under half an hour away. There's nothing much around here. It's very secluded. Oh, it's not bonfire night yet, and you're letting him off already.
Who? I thought you said no one lived out here.
We're in the middle of the fens. Flat as a pancake. Sound travels for miles.
You live out here on your own, do you?
Ever since my wife passed away.
Well, what about the house next door?
Oh, that's our holiday home. Londoner. She's never here. You sure you're all right? No broken bones or anything?
No, I'm fine, but I've lost one of my gloves somewhere. Must have come off when I hit that bend. I'll find it later.
You were lucky you didn't break your neck. That corner's treacherous, especially at night and in the rain. There are road signs, of course, warning people.
Must be spooky living out here.
Spooky? I got locks on the doors.
Have you?
And an alarm. They don't work, but I'm told the box on the wall deters people.
How?
Oh, no one knows it doesn't work.
I do.
Yeah, but you're already in. That don't matter. We'll have some tea when it's brewed.
Didn't you wonder what was going on? Like seeing me standing there in the dark? You on your own and everything?
No. I heard the crash, but wasn't absolutely certain it wasn't an accident until you came knocking at my door. What's your name?
Manny.
Manny?
Yeah. Short for Mannion.
I see. No, living out here don't bother me. I don't scare easily. I'll get some milk.
Do you have any water?
Water? Ah, oh, well, I'll put some TCP in it. Oh, your face is bleeding too. Superficial by the looks of it. Nothing serious. I'll bring a mirror. Help yourself to the tea. That'll be brewed by now. No, don't do that. I prefer the tea in first, if you don't mind.
Lived here long?
I was born in this house.
Really? Proper country boy, eh? Used to nature and all that. City runs through me like letters through a stick of rock. Drive me mad living out here.
I don't think I'm mad.
What? No, I didn't mean you were mad. I meant living out here all alone. You know, nothing happening, nothing going on. silence. I mean, it'd drive me mad. Figure of speech. You hear stories.
Sorry?
Ghost stories.
Ghost stories?
Yeah. Oh, well, there was one I heard about a man who did, well, what you've just done. He took pity on a stranger. He'd bought a house in the countryside, see, and one night, not long after he'd moved in, he heard a crash, like you did. And when he went out to investigate, he found a body slumped over the wheel of a car, an ancient old car. Anyway, there was blood everywhere. Anyway, he dragged him out, laid him on the ground, and ran to his neighbour's house to phone for an ambulance. When he went back, there was nothing there. The man and car disappeared. And much later, he found out that someone had died in a car crash at the very same spot years ago. And they told him that ever since that night, people saw the same thing, year after year after year. Ghost, you see. A lost soul revisiting his place of death. That's what ghosts do. They come back looking for someone to take their place, someone to release them from their earthly shackles. What's your name?
What? Sam.
Don't worry, Sam. I'm not a ghost. For a start, I'm not dead.
No, you're just a bad driver.
What? I'm not a bad driver.
That's what they all say. Biscuit.
Thanks.
I'll leave them here, you can help yourself. What brought you here?
What do you mean?
This is the Fens. There's not many people live here. You must have been going to see someone. I might know them. Who was it?
Wasn't visiting anyone.
And what were you doing?
It's a long story.
Well, there's plenty of time. It'll be ages before the phones come back on.
It's personal.
Is it? A woman then?
What makes you say that?
Just a guess. Usually is.
You know about women, do you?
I know the pain of losing one. I was married for over 50 years when she died. It was as if I died with her.
Sorry. Do you have children?
I had. Boy and a girl. Living out here in the wilds, there aren't other children to play with, so they grew very close. Became inseparable. Did everything together. Played together. Went places together. And then when he was 15, my son was diagnosed with leukemia. Died 2 years later.
Been hard for you.
That was hard for all of us. Especially for my daughter. She couldn't live without him. She tried, bless her. Struggled on for years, getting deeper and deeper into depression. When she was 17, same age as him, and on the very same day he died, she took her own life. Overdose.
Whoa.
Found her clutching his photograph. My wife never got over it. She died of a broken heart.
Sorry, Sam, I don't know what to say. Where life takes you.
Are you finished? So where were you going?
Going?
On your bike. Before you went into that ditch.
Oh, I don't know.
You do know.
Yes, I do. What you said about it being a woman, you're right. We've been together 4 years, talked about maybe getting married, having kids. I love my bike, saved up for years to buy it. It's worth a small fortune. I told her I was prepared to sell it and put the money towards a down payment on a house. That is how much I love her. Earlier tonight we had a row. We've been having a few lately. Usual stuff to start with, but tonight she announced she'd had enough. Said we were finished and she'd found someone else. She packed her cases, stormed out and took off to his flat. I know she's there with him now. I can see him. He's killing me.
So after she'd gone, you got on your bike and you just drove around.
Yeah, that's right. Drove for miles. All I could think about was her and him. I had no idea where I was going. Eventually I just took off down a side road and just kept going.
It's not exactly true, is it? You got off the main road on purpose and drove faster and faster, hoping that eventually...
Yes! And I did, and it didn't work. It's still here. It didn't work, did it?
You don't have to.
What?
Suffer. You see, I was sitting here tonight on my own, like I always do, when I realised that my life was worthless. First the kids, and then her.
Are these pills?
That's right. They were the ones my son used to take. But you have to be careful. Too many are lethal. Fatal.
What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Pain's unbearable. You know that. Time to end it. My daughter used them. There's no pain. Take the pills. Leave it.
I was out watching the fireworks when I saw a bike in the ditch. I wondered where the rider was. I wondered if he was all right. Was that you? I saw a light in the window when I found this outside. I thought, you must be in here. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine.
So you made yourself at home?
Sam made it. He was looking after me, but I'm worried about him. He took some pills. We should find him.
Sam?
Yeah, he was depressed and he took some...
Sam died 3 days ago. Suicide. Overdosed on his son's pills. Dreadful story. You've gone very white. What's the matter? Didn't you know?
'cause there's music in the air and lots of loving everywhere. So give me the night. Give me the night. So come on out tonight, and we'll leave the others on a ride to paradise. And if you feel alright, then we
I was having a lovely morning. I'd even put my George Benson CD on. I was looking forward to a bit of Shalimar. That's how good I was feeling. Until Angie, my darling sister, came by for her usual Friday morning catch-up. Catch-up, all right. She started even before the kettle was on. Jackie, you don't seem yourself today. What's the matter, love? Something going on with you and Peter, the family, Buster? What is it? You had some good news? I'm fine, Ange. So is Peter, the kids and the dog. All's great. It's just what? She quickly asked. Come on, you can tell me. We've shared everything since we were small. Look at us now, 60 plus, which I still can't believe. Can you? You hiding something? You would tell me, wouldn't you? She did sound concerned. I'm happy. Is that a crime? Reaching over and taking 2 favourite mugs and plopping tea bags in both, she looked straight at me. You're happy, all right, but you're acting very strange. Funny even, odd-like. You on some herbal medication? That CBD oil? I've read all about that stuff. It makes you very happy. No, of course not. Silly, strange, funny, odd. What do you mean, Ange? Yeah, it's like you're walking on air or something. It's usually me, the bubbly one, not you. But today you seem as if you're on a different planet. You're not even dressed yet, she gushed. Where's my down-to-earth, organised, predictable Jackie? Even a tad boring sometimes. Where's she gone? Not that I'm complaining, it's a breath of fresh air to see you like this. Oh, she didn't stop. I was put out. I didn't need her raining on my parades. Boring, eh? Is that what you think? Organised? Predictable? I can take that. But boring? You can be so hurtful, Ange. I've other qualities, I hope. Of course you have, Jackie. She squinted at me as she said it. Loads. You're a wonderful sister. The best. A good cook. A great incher. Unit. Is that enough? Do you want me to keep going? And with the next breath, she came straight out with it. Now what's up? From dancing in the kitchen to George, I was now near to tears. If I share this with you, you promise not to say a word, not a word. You promise me, Angie, you promise. Her manner changed, and putting down her tea, she fixed her eyes directly at me. Whatever's happened? It must be something, please. I'm all ears. Well? Her thick stare made me come straight out with it. He, I murmured, looking down at the knots and new slippers. He? Who's he? Peter? The old boy next door? Oh, Boris Johnson? Who is he, Jackie? She shrieked. No, he's none of them, I whispered. He's a man I've met. A man? You're married to Peter for 41 years. I was your bridesmaid, remember? I wore pink. Oh, don't rub it in, Angie, I begged. I know how it sounds. I feel guilty, but I feel alive. I haven't felt like this since, oh, I don't know. I can't remember. My life, maybe never. My life has just trundled along day after day, week after week. And before I knew it, I was here, confused. Confused? Angie repeated. Look, I get it, Jackie. The years are rolling by, and don't I know it? So, who is he? Someone I know? She was interested, all right, as she drew her stool nearer to mine. No, he's like no one you know, Ange. Being absolutely truthful, Ange, you've always liked a bad boy, and he's not one of those. I'm certain of, well, pretty certain. But then I suppose he could be. Confirming my words, she nodded. Yeah, I do like a bad boy. That's not a lie. Well, what is he then? A good boy? I don't think so. Making my sister stray? Responding with a flutter of butterflies as I thought of the time spent with the stranger only the day before. A gentleman, actually, who has manners. Nice hands, manicured nails, and smells like lemons. And for the record, I haven't strayed. Her look said it all. Where'd you meet him, this gentleman? I told her as I rinsed the mugs under the running tap. Turning away from her made the words seem distant somehow, like I was talking about another woman, not the one in her shabby dressing gown. Well, at the supermarket yesterday, he packed my shopping for me. It was one of those community project thingies, for charity. Then he helped me with my bags to the car. It was a week's shop, you know, a lot of bags. I thanked him and said in a soft velvet-like voice, "You're welcome." It was then, just for a few seconds, it was just me and him. Everything else faded into the background, like what you see in the movies, the blurry haze and all that, with stars twinkling around us both. I'm sure I heard music. It was then I found myself asking him if he'd like a coffee with me. He said okay, so that's how it happened. Angie walked over and stood next to me. Happened? What happened? She was quite firm, raising her voice as if I was miles away from her. Coffee happened. What you think, Ange? Where? She quizzed. No, in that little coffee shop near the supermarket. That's where. The one that's a bit pricey. I suppose you pay for the ambience. All those cosy chairs and sofas in pretty prints. Linen stripes, the old wooden tables, vintage crocks like Nan had. And a single bloom in a heavy glass vase. That's where there. She wanted more. So raising her eyebrows and leaning towards me, she said, and? So I gave her more. And? What do you want to know? Go on, tell us. What you talk about, you and this gentleman? All right. Nothing much. No, nothing much. I felt all the happiness of my secret of only half an hour ago slipping away as Angie blurted at me, "Nothing much? You and him having a coffee? Nothing much? What's his name? Where's he live? Is he married?" Oh, she was like the dog with a proverbial bone. I wish he'd shut up. I don't know his name or if he's married, Angie. I was getting agitated with her. It didn't really matter. We shared a coffee, that's all. He put lots of sugar in his and stirred it for ages while I sipped at my skinny latte, taking my time, enjoying the unexpected male company. He spoke a little broken English. I asked him where he lived. He said, "Here now." So I asked, "Before here?" "European," he answered. "Oh, European," I repeated, a little surprised. Angie shouted, "European? European? Bloody European?" "Yes, that's what he said." And I shouted back at her, "Yes, Angie, European." "Could be from anywhere. What's he hiding from you, Jack?" she suspiciously asked. "European," Russian? Russian, Ange? What do Russians look like? Angie seemed irritated with me. Oh, I don't know. Like the president there. His name, Vladimir Putin. That's it, that's him. No, Angie. To whatever he looks like, he sounds more like a posh cocktail. I love a Vladimir Putini with a cherry on the side, I mimicked. All right, Jackie, she kinda laughed. Now, do you think he was French, Italian, or a bit more Eastern then? I don't know. I felt the butterflies again and twisted my hair nervously. All I know, he was different. Yeah, different. With amazing blue-grey eyes, like steel, and made me feel so attractive when he looked at me with them. It's been a long time, Angie, since I felt attractive. I shouldn't have done it. You know, ask him like. I don't know what came over me. I know what came over you. She smiled then and reassuringly said, Ah, stop now. You were just being friendly. No harm done. Now, did he say any words in his own language? Well, he did say Archu. And I said, bless you. No, Archu. Then he took my hand and he kissed it. Oh, thank you, I said. He nodded, smiling. His eyes crinkled at the corners, just a little. But I couldn't tell his age. At that moment, I hoped he couldn't tell Mum. Angie gave me a squeeze and tutting gently said, All right, Jack, you look pretty good, girl. Now, Archu, come on, let's Google it. Oh, bloody hell, he's Lithuanian, Jackie. Well, whatever he is, Angie, I won't be seeing him again because he said ciao. Angie exclaimed, Ciao's Italian. Oh, is it? I said, a bit confused. Well, he did an action with his manicured hand of an aeroplane taking off. So that's it. Ciao, he's gone or going. Angie sounded relieved. Well, that's it then, sorted, as she put the mugs away. I suppose it is. You promised, remember? Not a word. Angie smiled at me. Of course, not a word. My lips are sealed. But I've been thinking, I'll come shopping with you next week, Jack. You never know, we might meet a couple of Europeans with any luck. As she winked at me. With that, I put Shalimar on and we boogied away in the kitchen, you know, like the sisters do.
Baby, I can make you feel good. I can make you feel good. Any lady's good love on ya. Baby, I can make you feel good. I can make you feel good. Say Christmas time in Notting Hill, 138 Westbourne Grove. Through the dark and wedded streets, silent people go. Christmas time in Notting Hill, my city days are done. I guess it's time to take the road to somewhere in the sun. Christmas time in Notting Hill, no money to my name. Gas fire in the corner has flickered its last flame. Across the street, the grocery girls are pulling down the blinds. Pile cardboard boxes on the street, it'll soon be closing time. The ladies in the basement, they're tying ribbons in their hair. They spend the night working in red lights, they find no comfort there. Christmas time in Notting Hill, 1967. Saved the tea bag from my cup, brew it up again. Christmas time in Notting Hill, my 15-quid guitar. I really tried to learn the blues, but I never got too far. Christmas time in Notting Hill, freezing Saturday, busking Portobello, not much came my way. Across the street, the grocery girls are pulling down the blinds. Cardboard boxes on the street, it'll soon be closing time. The ladies in the basement tying ribbons in their hair. They spend the night working in red light, they find no comfort there. Ladies in the basement, tying ribbons in their hair. Work all night in red lights, they find no comfort there.
Got one of these new mobile phones last Christmas. Hadn't used it yet, but I reckon you can sing songs on it. So I've got to give it a go. Vaccination, whoa, might have to wait for years. Every nose we blew is full and COVID fears. I can't smell my socks, got green bits in my mask. If you want a COVID dose, you only have to ask. So mingle well, mingle all the day. building herd immunity inside our DNA. So mingle well, mingle all day. No need for a vaccine if you trust in nature's way. They keep saying that. That's a little squid, isn't it? Scientists. What do they know? Injections in the arm can seem an easy fix. Is there any harm to have her in the mix? But what will they do if COVID germs mutate? Another pill, another pill, another 10-month wait. So mingle well, mingle all day. Building herd immunity inside our DNA. So mingle well, mingle all day. No need for a vaccine if you trust in nature's way. Right, how'd you turn it off?
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There are so many hats, it's hard to choose. It has to fit my head and ought to match my favorite shoes. I know my head is bare, but this I guarantee. I'm gonna take my time and find the perfect one for me. The perfect hat for me. Whatever will I be? I'll always cover my thing up.
Daphne,
Yes,
I
Maggie.
need a price for this item, please. I'm not actually sure what it is. She's the manager, so she does all the pricing. I've worked in this shop for, it must be coming up for 10 years now. I've seen hundreds of volunteers come and go over the years. You can imagine we get all sorts in here. Some leave after the first day, some after the first week, but some of them we just can't get rid of. I came to work here after I lost my husband. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were in the Happy Days shopping mall one day. I'd just gone into the glamorous girlies lingerie shop for a bra fitting. I'm in a 36 double D, but I do get a lot of nipple chafing. When I came out of the cubicle, I couldn't see him. I looked outside the shop, then got the security man in the mall to put out a message on the tannoy. Man lost answers to the name of Ronnie Robertson. He'd started acting a bit strange, but then he was a bit odd most of the years we were together. And that's the thing, you see. We never did actually get married, which was very rare in them days. But I always called him my husband, well, to save face, you might say. And I wore this ring he bought me to stop any nosy Parkers tittle-tattling. We didn't have any kiddies, so I suppose we didn't really see the need. I called the police-a-calls when it happened. They searched the area and asked around. The story even got on the local news. Man disappeared in local shopping mall. I was interviewed on the telly. Well, I suppose that was the highlight of my life, really, being on telly. He was never found. Not that I cared. So I took over the running of the house and thought I ought to do something with my life now. Ronnie wasn't there to stop me. See, he'd always been a bit overbearing and he didn't like the idea of me working. But well, here I am, deputy manager. Not really much of a career path, but I worked at a few shops before I moved in with Ronnie. And I have a real interest in knick-knacks, so I've always been partial to a charity shop. I especially like collecting elephants. I get quite excited when someone brings any kind of elephant in. I've got china ones which I put in my display cabinet in the dining room, glass ones I like to put on the mahogany shelves in the sitting room, and cuddly ones which are laid out on my bed just where Ronnie used to sleep. I've even got one made out of leather. I think that came from Morocco, but I got it from here, of course. Well, Ronnie and me never ventured abroad. He felt it was an unnecessary expense. Well, he didn't earn very much working in the biscuit factory, even though he'd been there since he left school. He was mostly in charge of the bourbon and custard cream lines, which was very lucky as I was very partial to a custard cream. When we first started courting, I was working in the fish and chip shop called the Happy Place. You know, place was spelt like the fish, Plaice. Ronnie came in lots of evenings on his way home to buy 4p of chips, and he always asked for some crackling bits. Do you know, the first time he said it, I thought he said, "You've got cracking tits." Well, I blushed so much I was redder than me hair. I've always been a redhead, but you've probably guessed these days it comes out of a bottle. Fairly soon after that, he asked me out and we went dancing. We got on so well, we ended up getting a little flat together. And a few years after that, we settled into the little house where I still live. I like working here. You see lots of people and interesting things. A rather posh type brought in this odd little hat. It just needs pricing, but I'm not allowed to do that, only being the deputy. No, Daphne does the pricing because she's the manager. She's very particular, and there's no doubt she's in charge. She likes the rest of us to spoil her and make mugs of tea for her all day. She's a bit of a cow, to be honest, but I like it here, so I put up with her. Daphne?
Yes, Maggie?
Could I trouble you to price up this red velvet hat, please? I've got a customer who's very interested in it. She says she wants it for a play, which the Trussington Players are putting on. I think she's the costume lady.
This is me, Primrose, in my element here as the wardrobe mistress of the Trussington Players. I've just finished Tabitha's costume, all ready for the dress rehearsal. Of course, you know that's not her real name. She used to be plain old Linda, but she's Tabitha now, suits her, pretentious and catty. I've worked with other companies. Well, when I say worked, I don't actually get paid, but I feel it's been my calling since I was about 14. I simply couldn't do anything else. I had a bit of training when I helped out with the students' production of A Midsummer Night's Dream at the local drama college. I made Puck's costume. They were very forward-thinking for those times, and they decided on a modernist eco-style for the play. So Puck's costume was made entirely out of old crisp packets, which I painted with green acrylic paint. I had the job of sewing them together, which I can tell you was a challenge. But the chap who played Puck complained he ended up with flakes of paint stuck everywhere, even in all his private bits. So, I'm rather pleased our director, Crispin, had no such fanciful ideas. We've gone for a traditional look for Macbeth. Thank goodness. I couldn't visualise Macbeth in a robe of crisp packets. The only thing he said was that he'd like Lady Macbeth all in red. I think he's got a thing about red. That's what he mostly wears. Today, he's in a red shirt, red tank top, and red flares, topped off with a jaunty red cap. likes to dress a bit like a throwback to the 70s, probably reliving his youth. I'm having fun dressing Lady Macbeth, although Linda, I mean Tabitha, but she can be rather difficult. She's had a couple of tantrums already about her dress, and she's lost a few pounds so she can squeeze into it. We already had this from years ago when we did our panto, The Wizard of Is. Frank wore it for the Wicked Witch. He loved it so much he used to take it home. I can't think why. Well, I couldn't spend lots of time and money making something new. Our purse is small. In fact, the entire costume budget for this production is £79.50, so it's mostly been make, do and mend. Tabitha supplying her own shoe. Well, I told her, this isn't the Theatre Royal, you know. She was a bit put out, as the only red thing she had were fluffy slippers. But I said, don't worry, no one will notice under the dress. And to butter her up, I quickly added, of course the audience will be so entranced by your brilliant acting, they won't notice your feet. When I saw what she brought in, I had to stop myself laughing. But, you see, I couldn't find an alternative. Well, not in her size anyway, so we've had to go with it. It's a shame we're not doing a comedy. Mind you, I think she'll get some laughs for all the wrong reasons. It reminded me of when she played the fairy godmother, wearing army boots, sprayed silver, because we couldn't get any, dainty shoes in her size. Luckily, I made the dress fit her. I added a large piece in the back, then made a few nips and tucks to shape it. I think she's had a few nips and tucks too, I can tell you. To my knowledge, she's been here since the year dot. She had a few professional parts, which she never stops going on about. She was a patient in Casualty, in the waiting room apparently, but I never spotted her. And she said she was in Downton Abbey as a worker on the farm, but I can't remember any farm workers. She claims to have been in a couple of films, and also in Doctor Who as a Cyberman. But then how would you know? Because you couldn't see who they were, could you? Oh, between you and me, I think she's a bit of a dreamer. I wasn't sure what she could wear on her head. So when I found this little red hat in the local charity shop, I thought it was just the thing, with a bit of tarting up, of course. I think I've worked my magic on it. Just the thing to complete the costume. I'd hate to make her look ridiculous.
Of course, I've been quite influential since joining the Trossington Players. Thanks to me, they finally agreed to do Macbeth. Oh dear, I've said it now. Yes, they finally agreed, and with naturally yours truly playing the prestigious role of Lady Macbeth. I had to ply the chair of the audition panel with a few drinks beforehand, but I don't think that was unjust of me. He knew I was made for the part. It had my name stamped all over it. Between you and me, I wasn't sure if players were up to it, but I think we've all, well, most of us, risen to the occasion and made it work. Crispin Our director has been a love to me. He's been fussing around me like a mother hen. Very sweet, but sometimes a tad annoying. He's been showing me how to do everything and being very specific about every move, every little detail. Anyone would think I can't act. Ridiculous, darling, I said to him the other evening. I was in full flow with my speech. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thought, unsex me here. Crispin started explaining what Lady Macbeth was saying as if I didn't understand. Well, I told him. I thought it was something about her being transgender. He thought I was getting at him for being gay. We both ended up in tears. He quoted back at me, "Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under." I was hurt by that dig at me being a serpent, but I admitted I was wrong, and we kissed and made up. Well, actually, at his behest, we linked pinky fingers, shook them 3 times while chanting, "Make up, never do it again." I thought it was a rather childish thing, but I didn't want to upset him again, so I went with it. We've been rehearsing now for 5 months, and it's gone quite well, but to be totally honest, we have struggled a bit. Well, it's opening night tomorrow, November the 5th. Crispin thought if there were bangs outside, it would make an atmospheric first night, add some drama. Well, between you and me, that'll be more than what's on stage. Dennis, who's playing my husband, still hasn't learned his lines, and Eric, who's playing Macduff, is a bit of a drinker and keeps turning up pissed. The 3 witches really live up to their casting. I think they must all be method actors. One of them is being played by a man, Trevor. Actually, he makes the best witch, to be fair. Well, at least he's learnt his lines and gets into the part. Mind you, he's the best looking one of the 3. But the makeup ladies had a field day sticking on Rice Krispie warts. Thelma and Louise, as I've christened the other 2, are both pretty useless, but they do look the part. I don't think either of them wear any makeup, or even put a comb through their hair. They could get a job scaring kids, and I mean before they get into their costumes. The scenery painters have been in full swing. They've managed a grey-black cloth which does wave about a bit when the door is open. They tried painting the outline of a castle and some clouds for a bit of atmosphere, but it looks more like the old brick factory when the chimney was smoking. I said to Crispin, "Darling, I need my own dressing room. I need space to get into the zone, dear." But would he listen? Would he buggery? He gave the single dressing room to Dennis. Bloody Dennis! And made me share with all the women. It's been hell. I just don't have the headspace with this lot cackling away about their bloody HRT or whatever. And Thelma and Louise's warts keep dropping off all over the place. However, I'm not too displeased with my costume, although it's a bit big. Primrose seems to think I'm 3 sizes bigger than I am. She's probably jealous of my trim figure. She's constantly on some diet or other. I think it's the 5-2 this week. She's hell when she's on her 800-calorie day. I simply can't believe I've got to wear this stupid monstrosity on my head. It looks like a red blancmange. As soon as this production's over, I'm giving this to the charity shop so I never have to look at it again. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Let's hope it's not like last year's dinner when Rosemary got drunk and fell into the sherry trifle.
Assuming she didn't have the frock to show her face this year.
Thank you for that reminder, Mrs. Cruikshank. Due to that unfortunate incident, Rosemary decided to leave our little club. So, shall we get on? Right. Good evening, everyone. As your chair, I'd like to say welcome to you all and thank you for coming to our 21st Christmas luncheon, for which the past 9 I have been your chair. We have a short agenda to get through before we can enjoy a splendid lunch prepared for us by the chef here at the Drunken Duck Inn. I think they've made sure they've catered for all tastes, including carnivores, pescatarians, vegetarians, vegans, fruitarians, gluten-free, diabetics, and people with nut allergies, seafood allergies, and Uncle Tom Cobley and all. So I hope you ticked for your chosen meal when I gave out the ordering sheets. And if anyone has changed their diet since then, I'm afraid it's tough titty. Personally, I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into the turkey. Right. Agenda item 1. Just a quickie to say thank you for joining in the Christmas fun and wearing your red hats all trimmed up for the occasion.
Where'd you get yours? The charity shop?
Was that you, Marjorie? Yes, quite right. I did, in fact, get it from the local charity shop and decorated it up a bit. We all have to do our bit for our local charities, don't we? Agenda item 2. November outing to Macbeth. Just my feedback to say most of us really enjoyed our trip to see Trussington Players' production of Macbeth. Apparently, the night we went was the best night, and we managed to enjoy most of the play before the backcloth fell down at the end of Act 4, which is ironically entitled Falling Action. It revealed 2 of the witches drinking, smoking, and playing cards. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off, and pandemonium ensued. There was a mad scramble for the exit doors, so we didn't see the final act. Such a shame.
Did you get your money back?
What was that, Petula?
No, Mrs. Bingley, we did not ask for our money back. We understand how much these productions cost, and we simply wouldn't be that heartless. Besides, actually, we rather enjoyed the action. It was jolly good fun. Agenda item 3. New Year's Eve coach trip. Well, thank you to those ladies who've already booked their seat for us to go and see the Northern Lights. I know some of you thought this was a trip to Iceland, so apologies to those of you who hadn't realised we're actually going to Blackpool Illuminations. We hope you're not too disappointed. So far, we only have about half a coach full, so please do hurry and book, or we may have to cancel. Can someone prod Mrs. Fortescue? She's fallen asleep. Thank you, Joan. Agenda item 4. Mrs. Montgomery's Craft Circle. If any of you are feeling crafty, then please make a note in your diaries that Mrs. Montgomery is, for her 7th year, organising her special winter craft sessions to be held in the village hall every 3rd Wednesday. She was very pleased last year when a record number of people turned up to join in. She had 5 ladies, including herself and her sister-in-law. So if you can knit or crochet, sew, do macrame, paint, weave, spin, darn, or want to learn, please do go along. Mrs. Montgomery is very versatile. I believe she's knitted a number of black balaclavas for a man who runs a little club for like-minded gentlemen in the High Street.
I've heard tell they also wear high heels and leather.
That all sounds a little odd to me. Oh, goodness. Is it
Doesn't your husband go to that club, Victoria? It's called the Dungeon, I think.
Ladies, shall we get on? Right. Agenda item 5. Looking ahead a little to the Easter Fair. At this stage, can we have ideas, please, for a stall to represent our little club? Last year, we won second prize for the Easter bonnet stall with an amazing array of hats. Such a pity that Marjorie had decorated hers with real eggs, which fell off and made a sticky mess all over Mrs. Montgomery's rather splendid offering. Well, there we are, ladies. Something to keep you busy during the winter and to look forward to the spring, when we'll emerge like snowdrops and daffodils. Now, unless anyone has any questions, please take all your places and we will eat.
Bloody hell. I thought we'd never get to the food.
Daphne?
What now?
Could I trouble you to price up this red velvet hat, please? I've got a customer who's very interested in it.
Not that bloody hat again.
You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on.
My husband's played Father Christmas for the infant school down the road every Christmas since the year he retired. And every year without fail, when he comes back home, he complains about it. It's either having his beard pulled off or some little tyke wiping their sticky fingers across his face. But every year he agrees to do it again.
I don't like to moan, but I'll have to give up playing Father Christmas at the school. Why? Because of the things those kids get up to. But I'd hate to let them down. I know how hard it is for them to find someone my age willing to dress up in that baggy old outfit. And that awful beard, well, I get a mouthful of hairs just talking to kids. Not to mention them heavy boots that make walking almost impossible. Oh, well, that sack full of presents is a joke. It's supposed to be laden down with gifts, but it weighs hardly anything, so when you pick it up, you nearly throw it up in the air. You think they get a new outfit? But no, they use the same one year in, year out.
When December comes around and he gets the inevitable phone call from the school, he stops being a grumpy old man and he sounds more like an excited little 10-year-old. He picks up the phone and laps up every word the headmistress says to him. He stands straight and proud and his eyes start to sparkle.
Hello? Yes, it's Joseph speaking. Oh, hello, Mrs. Croft. Hello. You want me to play Father Christmas again? Really? What, the children love me, or do they? Well, it's so kind of you to mention it. And the parents say what? That I'm the perfect Father Christmas. Yes. Yes, I have had plenty of practice. I must have done it for some years now. Has it really been that long? No, there's no need to go looking for anyone else. No. If you want me, I'd love to do it. Yes, I really would. Yes. Let me know when you need me. Thank you. It's bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mrs. Croft. Bye-bye. Well, I think I'm obliged to do it.
And then, when the conversation's over, he puts down the phone, composes himself, coughs and says, they want me to play Father Christmas again, as if it came as a surprise to me. Then he gets on with what he's doing, looks at me, raises an eyebrow and asks, "What do you think, Mary, should I do it?" But I know perfectly well he's already made his mind up.
I have to admit there is a certain joy in playing Father Christmas. Not that I like doing it, because I don't. But when I give the little ones their gift and see that sparkle in their eyes, the innocence, that infectious excitement, I don't know, it somehow grabs the old heartstrings, and then one of them gives me a kiss on the cheek. Well, the feeling is hard to describe, really.
When his sciatica got worse, he found it more and more difficult to get into the costume on his own, especially the baggy trousers and the huge boots, so I went with him to help him get dressed.
How Mary manages to help me get into the costume, I don't know, with her fingers. They're riddled with arthritis, much worse than my sciatica. Yet she always battles through the pain. But I know she enjoys doing it and always says how nice it is to receive the Christmas cards they make for us. The little message from each of them. It's so sweet.
Him and me would stand in their little boiler room, squeeze between the tank and the pipes that circled the white walls, and listening to the water pump going on and off so loudly you could hardly hear what we were saying to each other. And I'd help him into his costume. "Oh, hell, Joseph," I'd say, "you've got holes in your socks." And he'd tell me to stop nagging. But he'd cut me off and say, "For goodness sake, woman, no one will see them, will they?" He was right, of course, but I couldn't help worrying that one day something would happen and they'd be exposed for all to see. Oh, I'd be so embarrassed.
Who would have guessed that that sweet little girl in her pretty party dress, who tried to wrap her tiny arms around Santa's ample tummy and drop her little head on my chest so coyly, would have had the strength to pull off one of those heavy black boots? Afterwards, Mary pretended to tell me off about the socks. But I know she saw the funny side of it.
When we got home, Joseph had to confess that I was right about his holy socks, but I had to admit I was surprised at how quickly the little girl had been able to pull his big boot off. If I'd seen what she was going to do, I would have stopped her. He moaned about her behaviour, of course, but I knew that in 12 months' time he'd have forgotten all about it.
One year, towards the end, they bought Mary an elf costume to wear. Well, it was easy for her to put on, leaving plenty of time for her to help me get into mine. Well, once we all were ready, she sat on the stage in a chair next to mine as Santa's assistant. To be honest, making sure the right presents were given to the right children was a constant worry. But Mary had no problems with it and always made sure she handed me the right one. To be honest, she was much better with the children than me.
Last year, I'll never forget it, just before Christmas, Joseph had a heart attack and ended up in hospital. Oh, it's scared me to death, I can tell you. He were only a hair's breadth away from meeting his maker. But, as the surgeon said, he's as tough as old boots, and he was soon back on his feet again. The first thing he did when they sent him home was to ring the school to assure them that he was well enough to don his Father Christmas costume again.
I know I was supposed to take things easy and stay calm, but I swear if that young lad in the yellow football shirt ever decided again it was funny to knock my Father Christmas hat off, I won't give him his gift. I noticed the headmistress had a quiet word with him, and the little bugger came back, head held low, and said sorry. I didn't have the heart to tell him off, but I went out of my way to put a smile back on his face. I think he learned his lesson.
Josie's finding it really hard now, and we both think it's time we gave it up. I had a word with Mrs. Croft. I know she genuinely enjoyed us playing our parts, as did all the staff, and the children, of course. But although we knew it were going to be difficult, we decided it was time to find someone else. Despite his moaning and groaning about how naughty the children could be, I knew Joseph would have preferred to go on doing it forever.
It's harder to bounce around and laugh like Santa when you're my age. I stumbled trying to climb the stairs onto the stage, and my hearing's so bad that I couldn't make out what the children were saying to me. Oh, not even with my hearing aids on full volume. Nah. Mary's better off, her hearing is still as sharp as ever, but well, we both wear glasses now, and our old joints do ache a lot.
So I had a word with Mrs. Croft. I knew she wouldn't want to find someone else to do it, that Joseph was really suffering much more than me. And I knew, despite all his moans and groans, he enjoyed being Father Christmas and didn't want to stop.
It suddenly dawned on me that I couldn't play Father Christmas anymore, and Mary agreed with me. I could tell their mistress was disappointed, but we both knew it would be the better if someone else took over from us. Oh, I must admit I was sad to stop, and I do miss it. Yes, I do miss it. But, as Mary said, at least you won't have to put up with all those sticky little hands and runny noses anymore.
Last year we were invited along as honoured guests, and they sat us right at the front in chairs marked with our names, saved specially for us. Mind you, it were odd sitting with the parents watching someone else giving out the Christmas presents to the little ones.
The other thing about sitting with the parents was that, although everyone knew Mary, none of the children recognised me. I said hello to one or two of them, but they answered as if they'd never seen me before. It did make me feel a little sad, and I do miss playing the part. Mind you, as I told Mary, no more naughty children to deal with.
I still get invited to the school for the Christmas party, but I don't go. Not now, not on my own. It's been a few years, and none of the children know who I am. Without Joseph, it's not the same. Last year, when he died, my daughter helped me sort out his things. We found some large boxes hidden on a shelf in the back of his shed in the garden. In them, he'd kept all the Christmas cards the kids had made for him, neatly tied with string and clearly marked with the year they were made. Oh, I do miss those happy times.